Order to the cloud.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. So, we still have people to hop on, but I'm going to tell you guys what a plan is so you can start thinking about it. What I would love to do, we're going to ask a few questions at the beginning. They're only here for 15 minutes, so 12:15 to 12:30. We're going to ask them a few questions, and then I would love to do like a rapid fire, your name, where you're calling in from, and one sentence of what your personal takeaway from the book was, what resonated most for you. And I want to do that at the end. Now, not everybody has read it, and you don't all have to speak if you don't want to, but I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity. So if we keep it moving quickly, and I'll just pick names off the screen in the order that I see them. But I also want to give you all the option to say you don't want to do that if you feel like you just don't want to for any reason. You don't even need to have a reason. But is there anybody on the screen right now who would prefer not to say a takeaway? Because I just think it would be nice, really, for Zarna and Zoya to hear from all of us, like, what is the takeaway that resonates most for each of us? So, is everybody here comfortable with sharing a takeaway? All right, so that's the plan, your name, where you're calling in from, in like one sentence, because we got to keep it quick. Ah, here's Catherine. Oh, hi, Catherine. I thought that was her. That's her picture. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Hello, hello. All right, so we
Hi,
are
Molly.
still waiting, and I don't know that everybody's that said they want to come is actually going to be here. Oh, wait, here's Katie.
Audio.
Hi, Katie.
Hello. Can you-
Hello. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Yep. All right, so we are waiting. Oh, here's Pei Ling. Hi, Pei Ling.
Hi.
Hello, hello,
I am going to be off
hello.
camera for a while,
Okay.
but
Yep. Yep. Hello. So, just wondering how many more people. I know I just told a few of you the structure, and I can, of course, I'll tell all of you, but I'm just wondering whether I should give people a few more minutes. Let's give 2 more minutes for other people to hop on. Sorry, I'm gonna have to repeat myself a couple of times, obviously. So, but that's fine. So, yes, this is all very exciting. So, all right, I'm just gonna share again for those that weren't here when I shared the structure earlier. But the deal is that Zarna and Zoya, oh wait, here's Bridget. She didn't, oh, there we go. Hi, Bridget. Okay. So Zarna and Zoya are joining just for 15 minutes. So they'll be here in 10 minutes. So 12:15 to 12:30, we get to see them. And what I shared with some of the others, the structure that I have planned is we have some questions that we would like to just get their take on that we kind of planned. Does anybody here have a question? And you can put it in the chat too if you'd rather not say it. But does anybody have a question that they want us to ask Zarna or that you want to ask Zarna? I mean, I would let you, of course, ask your own question. So, or I'm happy to ask it if you'd rather not. But if not, we have plenty of questions and they're only here for such a short time anyway. Okay. So it looks like we're just going to ask our own questions that Carrie, Molly, there's Molly. Molly is,
Hi.
well, all right. I'll officially start now. So
Okay.
I am Tanya. and I am a therapist turned personal development coach. I've been doing this work for more than 30 years, and I have done personal growth book clubs before. I did one at Barnes and Noble for a couple of years. I did some during private practice. People would come in back in the day when people would come in person. And Molly and I started this a few months ago, and it's our Book Plus Club because we do books and podcasts, TV shows, and movies, and anything really that we find inspirational that we think would make for a really juicy conversation. So that is that. And then Molly, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Molly. I'm calling from Philadelphia. I am Tanya's daughter. I'm a writer and a big reader too, and I do marketing also. So, yeah, and I'm really excited about this. I love stories and screens. I think it's a really great community and it's always like so fun and insightful, and it just makes me happy.
I love that. I forgot to say I'm calling in from New York. Yeah.
And
Now-
one suggestion, can you guys tell everyone how we got?
Oh, yeah. Did you
yeah.
want me to read the letter, Mom?
Yes, so this is the plan actually. But before you do that, no, I think we are ready for that. Yes, so a lot of people were curious, how are they here? Do I know
Yeah.
them? Like, why are they even coming? And so it was just an idea that Carrie is also part of our marketing team over there, Carrie Wave. And we talk a lot and brainstorm a lot. And I heard about Zarna from Amy Poehler's podcast, Good Hang. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to it, but it was great. And I listened to Zarna on there. I'd never heard of her before. I really liked her. I read her book. And one of the things that she said is she opens for Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's live show that tours around the country. And she got the gig because she asked them. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, of all people, she believes in asking. So
Mhm.
Molly wrote a beautiful letter and they said, oh, here's Claudia. And they said, yes, within like a day, right, Molly, or 24
Yeah,
hours or
it was
something?
less than 24 hours that they said yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Claudia.
So,
Good work, Molly.
hi, Claudia. So Molly's
Bye.
actually going to read us the letter so you all can hear
Yeah.
what she said and what we don't know what inspired them to say yes.
We
Um,
asked.
yeah. So,
Yeah. So this is the letter I wrote. I said, Dear Zarna, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Molly Lesnick, and together with my mom, Tanya Cole-Lesnick, I co-host Stories and Screens, a virtual book plus club where we gather to explore powerful works of writing, film, podcasts, TV, and connect them back to stories that shape our own lives. Our upcoming selection is your book, This American Woman, which has already sparked such a meaningful anticipation in our group. We would be honored if you would consider joining us on October 16th at noon for a conversation with our members. What drew us to your work is not only the brilliance of your storytelling, but the way you allow your voice and your personal life to intertwine with your art. We've admired how openly you share your journey, especially the way you weave in the presence of your daughter. That bond, so tender and real, is something we relate to deeply. Stories and Screens itself was born from a mother-daughter collaboration, and we have found this intergenerational perspective adds a unique richness to the conversations we hold. Our gatherings are intentionally small, intimate spaces where vulnerability is welcomed and depth is encouraged. The women who come to our sessions are thoughtful, open-hearted, and eager to learn, not only about the text itself, but the larger context of mental health, resilience, and belonging. We believe your presence would bring something truly special to the table, the chance for our members to connect with the voice behind the words that are moving them, and to see firsthand how literature became a vehicle for self-discovery and healing. We also sense that your voice carries the potential to ripple outward beyond our immediate circle. By joining us, even briefly, you would not only enrich our group's experience, but also help amplify a larger message that tending to our inner lives matters, and that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools we have for that work. We would love to create space for you on October 16th, and we will gladly shape the format around what feels comfortable for you, whether that's a short conversation, an extended Q&A, or something in between. What matters most to us is this opportunity to connect and share your presence with our community. We know the timing is close, but we wanted to extend the invitation in case it happens to work with your schedule. It would be such an honor to have you join us. With gratitude and admiration, Molly and Tanya.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, perfect.
less
I can
than-
see.
thanks. Less than 24 hours goes by and they said yes. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So certainly can learn to ask, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know that I would have thought to ask had I not heard her say. to
Yeah,
ask.
exactly. And
So
honestly,
inspiration.
most of the jobs I've gotten in my life, I've gotten because I have asked.
Mm.
Like no one was hiring. I was just like, hi, I want to work here. So I love that. That made me feel really connected to it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to tell again about the structure and ask again. Anybody that wasn't on here earlier, I'm just inviting whoever might be interested if they want to. I got a question from Pei-Ling. Thank you, Pei-Ling. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Pei-Ling, love it.
I love it
So,
too.
does anybody else does anybody else have a question they would like me to ask Zarna while she's here? We have a few, again, they're only going to be here for 15 minutes, so we'll do a few questions and then I'll do one sentence, say your name, where you're calling in from, and one sentence takeaway at the end for the last few minutes. Everybody's welcome to do that, but if anybody doesn't want to do that, just let me know and I won't call your name. I'm just going to call you off the screen in the order that I see everybody to do that. And I have to get myself to limit it. Typically with this group, we do a lot of intro and we sort of share with each other how we each connect to whatever it is, whether it's a book or a movie or whatever. Because our time is so condensed now, we're not going to have time for that now. And then after we'll see, after we'll have a chance to talk about the experience and anything else.
Processing together.
Yeah, and anything else that resonated for each other. And if I feel like there's time and it makes sense, I might weave in a little the intro thing so we can say hello to each other in a more intentional way. But it's so lovely to see you all. And yeah, any questions before? I mean, they're going to hop on in a couple of minutes, assuming they're prompt. Okay. All right. Okay, so what I can tell, what I can gather is everybody's happy to share your takeaway. So, okay, that's it. So exciting.
It is.
Dun, dun, dun. I know.
Um,
Is that you, Molly? Did you say oh wait, I hit record, right? Oh wait, here's another.
Oh, that's so cool, Bridget. Charleston, South Carolina.
Nice, nice,
We're
nice.
happy
Aw.
you're here.
What's that?
I said we're happy you're here. We're
Yeah.
happy that you're all here. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, and there are people from all over the country, which is nice.
Yeah, Claudia and I are both calling from Philadelphia.
Yeah. Let's see. Barbara and I are in New York.
Yeah.
And Katie.
Should we talk about it while we wait?
We could. I just feel like they're gonna hop on any second.
Yeah.
I see. No. Bridget, no, there's no other chat. That was just that's all that we got for the chat. But you guys are free to use the chat. This is all a little bit bigger than what it's not a big group, but it's bigger for me. And so I don't typically use the chat. So feel free to use the chat, but just know I might have a little growing pains. And all right, okay. Amy and Manya from Baltimore. Nice. Nice, nice. Well, you want to start? I mean, like, I don't know what to do because I should hop on. All right, let's see. Kruti and Jamie from Northern Virginia. Nice. Yeah. Thank you, Bridget. Relating to my technology growing pains. Annapolis, nice.
So this is, I think maybe we just start a little convo about the book while we wait.
Yeah, we can.
I love to talk, so.
All right. You start us off there, Miss Molly. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about finding your voice when people have had to try to quiet it for most of your life, and just how she found her voice and she listened to it. And it's just something where I feel like in my life I've tried to make myself quieter to not disturb people, but to find your voice, you need to be heard.
Yeah.
That's something that I was thinking about.
Her
I
and
think
courage, Molly, to find to change countries, then change from law to her unique persistence of her voice.
Yes.
Like it was, she was brave.
Yeah. Very.
And to go from the security of a successful law career to go to the insecurity of stand-up comedy. Yes.
I know.
She's,
It's
I just, her voice must have been so loud within her. And
yeah.
her husband must have,
and listening to that and harnessing that.
yeah.
Molly, can you check your email, please, just in case
Yes.
they emailed you?
Yeah, I did just check it, but
Oh.
no, nothing.
Yeah, they could be having trouble getting
Of
into.
course, there's a lot of things and it's only a couple of minutes, but you know,
Yeah, I bet she'll be here, but probably 10 of 1, my guess.
What's your guess?
10 of 1.
10 of 1. Oh God, I hope not, but
Well, we can't
Yeah.
control it. It's,
yeah. So, I mean, we can
I
certainly
can
go
email
to,
her.
yeah, why don't you please just make sure that it's still her plan and everything. Okay. So yeah, you were talking about the voice and how brave she was. And this is the question I'm going to ask her really is about living in alignment, because one of the things that is such a huge part of my work is figuring out who you are and what's in alignment with who you are. And I felt like throughout the whole story, her story, she was very honoring her truth, even though sometimes she didn't really intend to move out of her house exactly, but you know, it kind of had a life of its own once she put that boundary up. And I am so intrigued, like what you were saying, Barbara, about sort of the comedy, like getting to, I mean, it's just such an interesting thing because I feel like it's so rarely,
yeah.
as far as what I can tell, something that you would happen upon. It's really the kind of thing that you have a whole lifetime of wanting to do such a thing. So it's
Right. And you might
interesting.
try it drinking at parties or something.
Yeah.
Also, she's so, and most of the native Indian women I've known are so proper in her. I've watched her hour show and she's risque and she makes the funniest faces. She's gone really far out.
Mhm.
And she didn't want her mother-in-law to come on a show after her. She said, I'm going to spend my whole show trashing her. You can't. I just loved it. I found myself laughing aloud at many points.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I'm sort of intrigued by the whole family working together since
Yeah.
Molly works for me. I don't know if you all have seen the podcast, how they're all working together, and there has to be buy-in with that for them. They're all like willing to be a part of this
Mhm.
whole thing. So it's just an interesting thing to sort of watch the unfolding. And she's relatively new to all of this. So that's fascinating and inspiring. So, yeah. Damn.
I
Where
wonder
is she?
how her husband felt though, because here they are, he's married this lawyer who quits, like I don't know that she had been the family support, but certainly a large part of it. And to
Mhm.
walk into this void.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because I feel like a lot of the time, um, there are some people that marry people for who they are in that moment, but it's really beautiful to like marry someone who can grow with you and like see as you grow and support you.
And not wonder how they're going to do it.
Um, yes. So I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I
There
think
was
what
something.
was also interesting is how organically everything happened. It wasn't like forced or, like she pretty much says her children were the ones who kind of like sparked the idea, and then she was okay. And then, yeah, it's just very interesting. Like she's like, okay, I'll try it, I'll run with it, and then see what happens. And then it just kept on. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think goes back to sort of the whole magic that comes from being in alignment, because I think the trying went along with there's something real in there. And if you all, whoever read the book with the letter to find her husband, that was like the most
Yes.
amazing letter. If you didn't get a chance to
Yeah.
read it, look back at it. It's just such a, I love that letter so much. And yeah, so clearly comedy was part of who it's just a natural part of who she is, because that was early on where she did
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say her letter was very clear about what she wanted in a husband. So her husband knew exactly what he was getting into. And then their whole courtship is so funny too, because she keeps kind of pushing him away and he keeps he's as tenacious as she is,
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved her letter, but it was also very clear. It's a really good letter. It's funny, but it's really clear about
Yeah.
how she wants to be supported and, the kind of partner she wants and, to
No
be,
friends.
what'd you say?
She said no friends,
Yeah,
all
she's
caps in parentheses.
And the way she confronted Shalab when it was clear that like, what's this? I don't want friends.
Exactly.
I got enough friends. Yeah.
I also love when she's interviewing the other men that responded to the ad in her apartment, and he keeps like coming. Well, he's staying there because he lied to her and said he was gonna. They're
That was
both
my
just,
favorite
just
part
great.
too.
Yeah, they're
Reader,
both just very tenacious.
Yeah.
Well, when she was interviewed on Jimmy Fallon, they read the letter on that interview.
Oh,
If anyone saw that on YouTube, but
I
Yeah.
didn't see that.
I went back and watched it. They actually had like a printout of the letter in the like where you could see it while they read along. So it was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. I think she did that letter probably lots of places, because I know also the podcast I listened to, Amy Poehler did it too. I know there was something, and I don't remember whether it was an interview. I don't think it was part of the book, although it could have been, where I think as she was embarking on this journey, her husband said something like, she's the smartest woman, I've ever known or you'll ever know, or something like that.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a lot of love and respect between them, even though they like to pretend there isn't.
Well,
So
also her mother-in-law. I just got to I'm not all the way through the book, unfortunately, but the part where the mother-in-law comes to stay with them in New York, and she observes Zarna with some of his school friends, and she says, "Oh, she's smarter than all your friends." I love
yeah,
that her mother-in-law, who she gives such a hard time in her comedy, but she
yeah,
truly seems to respect, and they seem to have mutual
agreed.
respect. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could be a fly on the wall with some of those conversations, because my sense is that there's something like, all right, I'm going to say stuff about you. It's not true. I don't really mean these things about you, but it's good for the comedy. I mean, it certainly works.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think in one of the interviews, she explained to her mother-in-law that it's an American comedy trope, that the mother-in-law is a trope. So don't be hurt by that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I know there was one thing I saw where the mother-in-law was asking what cunt meant. Yeah.
Great. That was a great section of the book.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we'll keep going. I feel disappointed, but I'm still hopeful. We have a little time, so maybe they'll come a little bit later in the hour. And nothing back from you, Molly.
No, I sent an email to Zarna.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just invited her to the Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so owning your voice, I know Molly brought that up. Yeah, between worlds is an interesting idea because she was like, and there is something, I mean, she seems very connected to her first culture, you know, her where she was born and grew up for part of her life. And also, I love so much that the book is called This American Woman. I think that's
Yeah.
such a clever name. Um, so yeah, I mean, what do you guys, does anybody here have experience where you're kind of between worlds? You're in this one realm that's such a full part of who you are, and then you're making this huge transition into something else. And there's lots of things, I guess, that could
Yeah.
bring you into a very transitional state like that.
Well, I think it's hard because I have an engineering degree and did this very technical thing, and moving into what am I going to be doing creatively with writing or other things that I want to do. And I can never put my finger on it, what exactly I'm working towards. So when people say, "What are you doing?" Like we're always used to going, "Well, I'm doing this or I'm not," and like we have a business, so I do technical writing for that. So I tell them that because then it sounds like a job. Then like I'm writing and I'm doing this that doesn't make me any money at the moment. I don't want to say that. Like I don't want to say, "Oh, I'm working on this." Not the writer part I want to say, but I in my mind, because how I grew up in the generation I grew up, it needs to like have at least a few dollars associated with it. Then I could say it. You know what I mean? I can't
Totally.
yet. Like Molly's saying that, and I bet she gets paid to write. So I'm like, okay, yeah, she's a writer, but I'm not. You know what I mean? And it's so interesting because it's like I can't say that yet because it's just like words on paper that nobody.
I just called myself a writer earlier. I've never been published anywhere.
Okay.
So you
All right.
can
Well,
do
I'm doing it then, Molly. See, you gave
Woo!
say it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is when people say like, what are you doing right now? It's just like
Yeah.
I don't know that and some people, like Tanya and Samantha, when we've gone to things before, like retreats, you can say those things. But like when I'm at the school book fair and they're like, "Well, what are you doing right now?" I'm like, okay. Then I start to tell them their eyes glaze over. I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? And so it's like going to more of the creative world or things that I am thinking about working on. It's very hard. And I'm sure Zarna had that too. Hey, if I'm a lawyer, or even if you are a stay-at-home mom and you're doing that role for now, that makes sense to people. But then when you're like, I'm going to go do this, like, what do you feel like to
Yeah.
say? And then people, and then I'm like, I don't have an elevator pitch, So I totally understand that. My husband's like, your job is to do those things right now. There's certain things I do with the business, but don't worry as much about that. You want to do this creative thing, do it. You've always said you wanted to do it. And it's like, okay, well then he's like, I think you're afraid to do it. And I'm like, yeah, because I think society that's why. It's not that I'm afraid to do it, but society is like, well, what's that mean? I don't know.
That's like the limiting beliefs thing that I talk so much about. That's an example of one of those limiting beliefs where it's like, I'm not free to kind of explore this work unless it fits this kind of structure. And you're right. I mean, the thing about these limiting beliefs is most of this stuff we've learned from childhoods and culture and all of that. So to go against it does take courage, and it does take telling somebody and letting their eyes glaze over. But you kind of holding on, or us, whatever our own stories are, like holding on to what our story is as we are showing up in the world and wanting to be true. I mean, I would love that for you if you just said, "Oh, who cares how they respond? This is what I'm doing, and this is who I am right now." So, yeah. Anybody else with this between worlds? I mean, I certainly feel between worlds because I was a licensed clinical social worker. I released that license over a year ago now and been really exploring different ways to connect to just personal development, inspirational kind of journeys. What does that look like? What else could be out there? And opening up to other forms. And so being between can be a scary place to be. I was describing it to somebody like a trapeze. Like it's as if I've let go of one trapeze, but I haven't yet grabbed onto the new trapeze, and I'm like in the air, and I see it. I'm about to grab it. But yeah, it can feel very scary to do that kind of thing. to be in that between place and to feel safe enough to stay in that between place until you're grabbing that new trapeze.
Yeah, and it's interesting reading her story because like I've always said I'm really bad at existing in in-betweens, but sometimes you just have to. And the way you handle it is really shows like who you are, I guess.
I love this question, and I love the image of the trapeze. Yeah, I could, if there was a version of my life story, it could be also be between worlds in so many ways. Just also being biracial. My mom's from England, she's English Irish. My dad is Chinese Malaysian, and then they chose to raise us in America. And I'm fluent in Mandarin, went to bilingual school. So, sorry, choking on my protein smoothie.
Oh no.
There's so much around culture and identity that has been between, or even growing up in Silicon Valley and then choosing to go to Boston for college and wanting something that was totally not like the environment that I grew up in. And it's in that in between where it's interesting just how contrast becomes more apparent. I don't know if you guys have ever done something like the DISC assessment or other types of assessments. I'm in this leadership institute right now, and last week they split us up, this group of 30 of us, into our D, I, S, and C. So all the D's sat together, all the I's sat together, our leadership type. And what was interesting was as I sat with my group of people who were in the same type, I noticed my contrasting qualities, the things that made me different, stand out more. So it's like being surrounded by others who are maybe similar in some ways, our differences then become more apparent as well, and that uniqueness. But that in between, I feel like, is really just the reality of what's always happening. Like there's no moment that's not in between something or the other, because it's always, or even just like in my cycle, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for my cycle to start again. I'm like in between one state of being and where fall is literally the transition season of being in between. I can relate to the engineering and the creative. And I love what you guys said about safety and that transition. There's a real vulnerability. I think transitions, even if it's just like ending a meeting and going to my car and going to the next thing, it's like those are the places where I feel the most vulnerable and maybe the most tempted to reach for comfort or craving in some kind of sense. And yeah, to continually expand the capacity to be safe in those transitions and in betweens or feelings of difference, and then also the joy of getting to be someone who bridges and brings things together. And like I work in the financial district, but I feel like a Trojan horse unicorn that's there and like getting to bridge worlds in all those ways. So yeah, I love the question.
Yeah, I love that bridge thing. I mean, I definitely catch myself when I'm in those little transitions that you talked about, like having such resistance, like, oh, I don't want to now switch gears. And I have to like sit with myself being resistant for a little while. And then I get up and do the next thing. But I definitely feel that. Yeah. Yeah, Claudia.
I finally caught up with being with you. It took me a little while. But I did have a thought about, I mean, I've met quite a few thoughts or associations with this idea of living between two places or realities. So the one that came to mind is very strange. Like I have lived in Philadelphia for 50 years this fall, and yet in my mind, I am always leaving. And I'm always preparing to leave, and I'm actually literally making some moves in that direction. But it is a very strange thing to be here and not here.
Yeah.
And it's certainly undermining in a certain way, but I have some resistance to Philadelphia, which is part of the underlying thing about being here, even though I've been here 50 whole years. It's incredible. And I did have an interesting thought about this sometime recently, which is that my mother was a refugee and she did not want to be in America. And I think it took her more than 50 years to feel more or less comfortable in America. And I came here without intention of staying here just like checking it out, and then I ended up staying here. So I feel that there's some kind of a parallel between her experience and my inner experience of I am here, but I am not here, or I don't want to be here. And I think it's very influenced by her life, her
Right.
feelings.
I was just going to ask you whether you thought that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that the intentionality, I think what you're talking about is like, yeah, am I being intentional about leaving? And is my goal to really honor that I've always been looking in that direction, or do I need to stop with the escape fantasy and really be here? And I'm not sure. Do you know which it
Well,
is?
I've been trying very hard to be here.
Yeah.
It is somewhat of an effort, and it is the results are definitely positive, and I see that all the time, like more and more friends and connections and activities. And despite all of that, I still have this bizarre, you could say, or very real pull to go back to my homeland, which is Massachusetts. Like her homeland was France, and mine is Massachusetts. And I actually am trying to visit a co-housing community in sort of Western Mass over the Christmas holiday. So there is activity in that direction. But I'm still like working on relationships here. So it's like a real divide, a real divide.
Yeah, but I kind of love what you're saying too, because you're sort of saying like, regardless of where I end up, I need to be present in my life. So I'm here now. So what do I need to do to be here now? And then, all right, I'm exploring this other thing. Can they both exist? And it's sort of like what Pei-Ling was saying about like, we're always in between.
Claudia, I absolutely
Yes.
I love what you've shared, and I so resonate with it on so many levels. Just the fundamental, it feels very primordial human for me of there's a homeland to return to, and it's not where I am, and I need to return there. And it goes all the way back to, the womb. The moment that we're born and the umbilical cord is cut, it's like wanting to return to the womb. I wish I was not on land because I'm an ocean creature or something, a fetus. But yeah, it reminds me also I had a season of more like existential suicidality. It's like I want to be here and I don't want to be here. I don't want to be human and I am human, and whatever that is and the different forms that it shows up. And what I love, Tanya, Jamie, and I, we actually connected through another community called Selfistry, which is this wonderful body of work by a dear friend, Sarah of mine. And the framework is essentially a non-dual duality where we have all these different selves there's a self that doesn't want to be here, or many selves that don't want to be here. And there are selves of us that really do and have all these connections and friends. And actually, what I've found in my experience is that the ones that don't want to be here don't necessarily go away. But as I maybe take care of them or relate to them differently, they become less at the forefront of my experience. But those all, we're bags full of contradictions. We're being contradictory, and we have all these different things happening at once. So yeah, I'm excited for whatever this next chapter is for you in Western Mass.
And I love what you said, we're so many things at once, like here and now, really here and now, and not here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't fully have a processed thought. I was kind of just rolling with my half processed thought.
Do it.
I was gonna say that I think existing in multiple worlds and not quite knowing where you belong is an excellent opportunity to find yourself. And I think that's what she did. And I think that's what I should do as a person that exists in many worlds, kind of just use that to find an in-between where I feel comfortable in. If that makes sense, kind of.
Wait, to use like being in the in-between as like just accepting that experience, and then you can kind of be anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it goes back to Brene Brown. her explanation of the difference between belonging and fitting in. Whereas fitting in, you're trying to match a group and do what they're doing so that you can fit in, so that you can fit in. And but belonging is really about knowing yourself, being true to yourself, and then you can belong everywhere. Or that's her differentiation between those two terms, which I think is so helpful for me always, because I am forever a reformed people pleaser that tries to fit in, and I have to catch myself and no, wait, just be you, be true to you, and trust it. Because like what Alexis was describing earlier, is like sometimes I feel like, oh, well, they might look at me with like their eyes might glaze over or whatever, and to trust that that doesn't have to run the show, that like I can still be true to myself and trust that.
I think knowing that your world is the most important one.
Yeah. And also, how do you coexist with others in a way that sort of honors your truth?
Yeah.
And allows room for the other as well. What does that look like? If they're lucky enough to have that privilege.
When we find spaces like this, thankfully, because this is so good. So tonight, when I go to the girls' cross country practice and they're all looking at me like, or talking about things that aren't deep, that maybe, what we're talking about here, I can be like, okay, well, I had that group today, And I think when you find people like that, then it's like, okay, then it's, you don't, what you're saying, Tanya, you don't really need that. You should be good with yourself, but it doesn't. When other people do get you somewhere, even if it's not in your same city, and it's
right. Absolutely. And I want to honor what you're saying too. Like this stuff isn't easy, So it's not like, oh, you need to be your most evolved, strongest self at all times and always be able to maintain your boundaries, speak your truth to people, like all that. Sure, that's very aspirational, but you're not going to do that every second. And so to really just honor all the layers, all the gray areas, and but just keep coming back again and again to yourself. So humor was obviously a big part of her story and who she is and how she evolved. I'm looking at you, Alexis, because I know you use humor a lot. Can you, I mean, if you don't mind, and then of course I'd love to hear from others as well, like just weigh in about your experience with humor, because sometimes humor can be a problem too. Like sometimes humor can get in the way of really connecting in a true way. I don't know. So what's your experience, Alexis?
Well, that is, I think, when we're talking about being true to ourselves, that is somewhere where I do come back to that, because I feel like humor and laughing, to me, it's like meditation. If we can laugh and, obviously not at people, but really truly like getting that like little nugget when and Tanya's been with me on a retreat, like staying for a week. So like finding that little nugget in the day sometimes, and then you find it to be humorous and like lighten things a little bit. It took me a while, but then as I got older, I even would say to my husband, that was comedy gold right there. Like he gets me, and I'm like, dude, that was funny what we just said right there. And if those people don't get it, that is okay. They missed out because that was so good, and so I feel like that is the one space where I am like, okay, I feel like I know when, I've hit on something that like just it feels good, and I feel like I even do this on Instagram and places like that where it's like, I do want to be serious and talk about things. And I even joke like it's a sandwich. It's like funny, serious, like let's be inspired, funny. And just because I feel like a lot of times that takes some of the heaviness away of when we're really trying to figure things out or process things or feel things. And then we like have that because just like I said, when I laugh or people do laugh, it feels like a little bit of a meditation. I'm not good at sitting still and saying, let's sit here and let's, talk about this. And mine is the humor. So if I get somebody to laugh or we can laugh together for a minute, it's that connection for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and like I said, again, it's never anything, where it's like putting someone else down. It's that little nugget of like, I noticed something silly in the day of, something that happened that we can all, it's lightness to all of us. But I really do feel like when that's what connected me to Zarna too. I'm like, oh my gosh, you went and did that as a career. Holy moly. It's so
Yeah.
cool like that you can get people to laugh and to feel that. I had a friend and she said, I haven't laughed in a long time. When's the last time you laughed like that? I said, because I'll laugh like all day long. And I'm like, 3 hours ago or whatever. She's like, I haven't laughed really hard in like 5 years. And I was like, oh my gosh, we've got to fix that because it just feels so good to really have that like belly laugh and really
Yeah.
just like that connection of, just I don't know, that lightness because I do feel that we're meant to have that. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
that's funny you said that because that is where I'm very confident and feel like myself.
Yeah.
And I do feel it came from my dad, and my mom was very serious. So I was
Ah.
like, and maybe that was a little bit of a rebellion, but I'd just be like, what are we doing here?
Mhm.
And so that it would make me kind of make jokes out of just like little tiny things. And then our kids have that banter now as well. And I'm
Mhm,
like, okay,
mhm.
we have fun with that. But anyway, so I won't
Yeah.
continue to go on, but that's my humor in my life and where.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, like the spreading of it, like to the kids, like it's sort of a language everybody learn. So what about other people and humor in terms of like how important is that for healing or for connection? Carrie.
I'll go. Hi, I'm Carrie. I haven't talked yet. I'm from Indiana. I feel like I'm the only Midwesterner right now, which is okay. um, I definitely felt that this was going to be my one takeaway, actually, is the humor. I feel very connected to humor as well. I have quite a dark humor style that Tanya and Molly, I think I've shielded you mostly from, so you'll get like snippets. But so personally, I had one of my best friends passed away. And I remember making like the funeral director laugh, like while we were like planning stuff. And I was like, hell yeah. Like that was like a win under my belt. And then I remember making like when I talked, like I got a couple of laughs from the room during her funeral. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I don't know. It just felt nice. Maybe
Like
that I could,
healing.
yes, very healing. Like, okay, we can still, and acceptance kind of like it's okay, like to laugh while it's deeply sad. Like that dichotomy and like the in between of where this is deeply awful, but also like it's okay. Like, let's remember the funny, whatever. But also the last thought, and then I'll stop talking, is Stephen Hawking. I had to Google who said it, but the quote I remember is like, life would be tragic if it weren't funny. So
Oh.
it really like it's easy to get lost in the dark sauce, but like kind of
Mm.
step back and be like, this is actually kind of funny.
Yeah. Interesting from Stephen Hawking, because obviously he had
Yeah.
challenges of his own. Yeah.
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 So definitely connected to the humor, but especially like through the dark times and just allowing, like you guys said earlier, the in between to happen during those crazy
Yeah.
human moments.
Yeah, thank you. That was a good, because I'm thinking, I'm so sorry, everybody. I feel like I misled everybody by saying, oh, they'll be here and they're not here. But I'm really happy for us to connect. And since we
Oh
didn't
yeah.
do the typical intro, what I'm thinking is, why don't we kind of do it now? Like just everybody have a chance, just say your name, where I know you, a lot of you wrote it in the chat and in the chat, but you could say where you're joining us from. And what was your key takeaway from this book if you had a chance to read it? I know not everybody did have a chance to read it, but it could be from our conversation today. It could be from watching her comedy or her Instagram or whatever, just anything that you feel inspired by. And I'll just pick your names because I think it's just easier off the grid. So Molly, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm Molly. I am calling from Philadelphia. What was the other thing? A key takeaway?
What's your key takeaway from the reading the book?
I touched on this earlier, but I think my key takeaway from the book is that I should speak at whatever volume I choose to because my voice should be heard.
Mm. Does that mean that you want to speak? Like, I'm wondering if that means have louder voice, or if
Not
that
like
means
actually like my actual voice,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
to find my
Oh,
voice and be proud of it.
got it. So it's like you should speak, basically.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
if I want something, I should ask for it because you never know.
You never know,
Mhm.
even though it ended up not working out as
That's
we
not
planned,
working
but
out, but
brought y'all here, so I'm happy to be with everybody. Thank you. So I'll say mine, New York, Tanya, or Tanya calling from New York. And my biggest takeaway really was like, keep going, because I am in this very transitional experience of shifting how I'm showing up in my work life, my personal, I mean, there's so much transition going on. And so just really feeling like continue to trust how important it is to be in alignment, to live in your truth, and to keep going. So that was my key takeaway. Trisha.
I'm Trisha, and hi. I know some of the people. Hi, Carrie. Carrie's
Hi,
really
Trisha.
funny. She did my
Hi.
website, so
Oh,
then I drove her crazy trying to do another one. But
oh
overall,
gosh,
like humor was a part of that. But
always.
I'm
Yeah.
a therapist myself in private practice, and I just can't thank you enough. Well, Molly, for and getting me back on here. Even though I haven't been on, but anyway, I plowed through the book. And I am just so moved. And the integration of every aspect of her life, like, so speaking of transitions, how everything, the writing, or I listened to the audiobook, but it integrated how she incorporated so many pieces or every piece of her life, right? With family. And it was this really holistic approach. And it just, but holistic on so many, like culturally, everything. And so it was so entertaining and engaging and funny. And I didn't even know what genre it was. But I am so glad, because now I'm going to do it for this neighborhood book or book club that I did because of Tanya and Jamie and AJ to help me push, because I typically don't do it. But I'm just wowed by the book. So always been in transition, it feels like. And yeah, it just kind of like it was something that I listened to in the present moment that just had all this juiciness and an engaging like experience. So um yeah, like I don't even know what to say. I'm telling you about the
Yeah,
book and
all good.
transition,
All
but
good.
I love this book, and I
Yeah.
just love her now. And we watched her special last night, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
it is a treat listening to her. I did the audiobook too, and I love listening. I always love listening to the author read it, but especially like I really enjoyed so much. All right, Alexis.
I'm Alexis from Pittsburgh. And a takeaway is that you can kind of change, as we were talking about the transitions, change at any point in your life, and it doesn't have to be linear. Going into comedy, like we said, was totally different than what you would, maybe expect, and that's okay. And so doing that, and as we talked about before, owning it and just saying this is what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
having that confidence, that was really cool to see that, because I had never heard of her before either. So it was like just recently, a few months ago, I heard of her. So just to be able to do those things, and not necessarily it's about fame or anything like that, but like really going for what you wanted,
Yeah.
having your level of fulfillment or your own idea of success in it, is just really cool. So
Yeah. Love it. Carrie.
Hi. I'm Carrie. I'm calling from Indianapolis, Indiana. I get to be more specific now. My one takeaway really was the humor thing, but Alexis, I'm gonna like kind of piggyback off of you and like just being able to like go like out there. Like I claimed I was a writer before I was a writer, and I like so and like the self-fulfillment part I think is what I'm really like piggybacking off of you about. It's like, what does success mean for you? Like I don't think I've earned any money on the book that I self-published, but I got it out there and people can, and that's what like meant most to me. So I was like, okay, whatever. I can put it on the bookshelf. Like, it's cool. So yeah.
Nice, nice.
Mhm.
All right, and I'm noticing the time, so I think we do kind of need to do our rapid fire thing now. So, Kruti, you're next. So if you can say, I just said your name, but you can say your name again. I know you put it in the chat, and then just like maybe a sentence or two of your takeaway.
Yeah. So Kruti from Northern Virginia. One thing that resonated with me was anything is possible at any age, and how somebody can just be unapologetically themselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Barbara, you are next.
Oh, I guess I have to piggyback on what other people have said, but anything is possible and change is possible. But I had a big birthday this year and it turned 80, and everybody's like, oh, but your runway is so short. So I feel society doesn't really want me to make big changes. You know, like, and I've stayed in this, maybe I've always been afraid of changes, and I'm using that as an excuse too, because I've stayed in the same apartment for 50 years, the 2 husbands, children, you know, it just, and I assumed that I like New York because I loved it. Yeah, I still come out of theaters, I was crying because I'm so happy I live here, but I haven't really, I don't know how to figure it out. And you guys help me.
But change, yes, yes, to be continued. All right, Samandra.
Hi, I'm Samandra. I'm calling in from Palm Desert. I found this book very motivational and inspiring because of I grew up in a household that rejected me. And so getting to read how she overcame it and persevered and what it actually looked like for her was very motivational for me. So.
Oh, wow. I just had goosebumps from that. I forgot about that connection, but that's huge. Yeah, yeah. Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm from New York. I actually found Zarna like a couple years ago on Instagram, so I've been following her for a long time. So I feel like she's an old friend. I just, immediately just her humor was so universal, especially for women of a certain age and just of a certain position and being a mother and having teenagers. And I just love, like whoever said before, she is unapologetically herself. And that is absolutely, I mean, even the ad she wrote to get a husband,
I love
she was
it.
unapologetically, I'm short, I'm chubby, whatever,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
this is who I am. And if you don't take me for what I am, then I'm not interested. And I love
Yeah.
that. And I just think that's such an important thing. So,
Love
but I'm
that.
only halfway through the book, so I still have to read here, and I'm listening to it. And by the way, if you have a chance to listen to it, listen to it.
So good.
Because she
Yeah.
is so great. And she's also, at some points, it's so emotional too. I was just crying while I'm doing dishes listening to her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
She
anyway,
cried sometimes.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the encouragement to listen to it.
I cried doing normal dishes, so
Yeah.
you had an excuse.
Claudia, what about you? Oh, wait, you're muted.
So yes, I'm Claudia from Philadelphia at this point in my life. And I haven't read the book at all or listened, but it was exciting to hear about the book. And I'm now really can't wait to get it or listen to it. And I had a little story to share, which is that when I was in college, I actually wrote a short story about an ad and the resultant romantic relationship, which was published in the school's literary magazine. So
Ooh, I
when
love this. I want to
I
see
heard
that.
I
about
want to
it.
see it too.
Molly,
Okay.
get Claudia and share it, please.
Okay.
Oh, I
Okay.
love that. Yeah. Catherine.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, Tanya, thank you for hosting this. I was finally able to join because I had a day off of work.
So
And I've
happy.
thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched Zarna's comedy special on HBO a couple of years ago, I think. And I loved her. And when I heard about this, I did not know her whole story though about the marriage and the changing this whole life thing. I recently did a job transition about 3 years ago. And it was, it was challenging and nerve-wracking, but 3 years into it, I'm like, I definitely know I made the right decision. So, but of course, it's all that second guessing. So thank everyone for your sharing your, concern, your issues around all of that. And I've enjoyed the time with you all.
Yay, love that.
And I
Amy,
haven't
can
read the
you?
book yet, but I will.
Oh, now you can be inspired.
Yeah.
Amy, can you talk? I don't know if you can talk or not.
Hi there. This
Oh,
is
hey.
Amy Blank from Baltimore with my daughter by my side.
Hi,
And
Manya.
hi.
Wow.
Sorry, we're driving, but I really appreciated and related to her authenticity and her evolution. And I think we're all evolving always, and always trying to figure out what is our own authenticity amongst everything else. So I really appreciate the opportunity to hear her voice and everyone else's on this call.
All right. Thank you. Manya, do you want to share or no?
What? What'd she say?
I don't know.
Hello? Oh, you. Me?
Yeah, I was
Oh, I
wondering if
didn't.
you wanted to share.
I did not.
Okay. All right. Jamie.
Hi, I'm in Northern Virginia, although currently I'm in Maryland. But anyway, the part that really resonated with me, even to the point where I took a screenshot of like where I was in the book, was when she talked about taking up space. I thought that she was not feeling worthy to take up space. And I feel like that's something I hear about often from other people. Sometimes I feel that way myself. So that really resonated with me. I totally enjoyed listening to the book with her being the narrator. I found her voice to be so soothing. And sometimes I was like in a stressful situation and I'm like, oh, I just need to listen to Zarna's voice, and I would actually put it on to listen. And I really enjoyed the whole section about how he was involved in the Jewish Holocaust Museum.
Oh, yeah.
I have a friend who actually did that in the Holocaust Museum in DC. So she became a tour guide for it. So it was just so cool to hear that kind of development also. And it just, being Jewish, I'm Jewish, so it just really, that part of it was so amazing just to hear what she went through to do that.
Yeah, thank you. And I know Bridget said she's not available for video or talking, so I just want to thank you all bearing with us as we were struggling a bit with expecting them and then didn't get to see them. But love to hear everybody's take, and I'm so glad everybody felt inspired by the book. And for next time, I love the idea of you guys joining whenever something resonates. It's free, it's a drop-in, just anything that resonates. And it's really lovely to see the community growing. So next time we're going to do a podcast. And the podcast is one that I was a guest on. And it's so we'll share the link for that soon. You guys will get a follow-up letter with the recording of this if you want to watch anything back. And on that will be also a link for the podcast. And it's really about energetic clutter, which is sort of this concept that I've created, but it's really about all the residue of like patterns and messages that are in the way for us, that are weighing us down and taking our energy when we really want to be focusing on other things. And so it's about that. And I can't
It's
wait
my
to have.
favorite podcast episode that she's been on. It's a really good one.
Yeah. The interviewer, Jamie, is Jamie still here? Yeah. It's the guy from, I think he's in Ireland, but he's English, if I'm remembering, or the other way. I think that.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's lovely and very, very energetic, and it's a fun interview. So yeah.
Thank you all so
So
much for
excited.
coming.
Thank you all so much for being here, and hope to see you another time and to be continued.
See
All
you
right.
soon. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
So much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everyone.